What's up, you guys? Grace with Grace Lee Fitness here with y'all, and I want to talk to you guys about guaranteed ways and tips for you to lose weight. I went from 150-ish pounds to 129 pounds, and I'll put pictures up right now so you can see the results that I got. And right now I'm also going through a cutting phase. So far, I went from 145 to, I believe right now my weekly average is around 136 point something pounds, and I'm still cutting. So if you want to see my fitness journey for this cut, you can subscribe to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about some guaranteed ways that you can lose weight. Tip number 1, I always recommend counting every calorie, especially if this is your first fitness journey that you are having the goal of losing weight. You need to count every calorie. What that means is I want you to weigh all your condiments, every little thing of veggie, every ounce of meat, anything you ingest in your body. I need you to count them. And a really good way to do that is with a food scale. This food scale that I have right here, it counts in grams, ounces, milliliters, and I think it counts in pounds, milliliters, grams, and yeah, this is a digital scale. You don't need to get something this fancy, but if you go on Amazon, scales range from 10 bucks to 20 something bucks. Honestly, I wouldn't spend more than 20 some bucks on a scale. Now if you look at the nutrition label on most foods, it does have a grams option. So if you take a look at a cereal box or some oatmeal in your house right now, it will definitely give you cups, tablespoons, stuff like that, but it also gives you the measurements in grams. Another thing that is helpful and free is if you download a fitness app. There are several fitness apps out there, but one that is my favorite and go-to fitness app is MyFitnessPal. Now with MyFitnessPal, you don't need to have the paid membership. The only advantages to that is it does show your exact grams of protein, fats, and carb goals that you could input yourself. But I honestly just use the free version because you can still see your totals of what macros you hit that day. All right, so a question I always get is how many calories or are these macros looking good for my cutting phase? And honestly, I cannot tell that person yes or no. The reason why is a lot of the, ifitfitsyourmacros.com and trying to figure out what is my weight loss calories online, they're just giving you generic answers based on the average human, but they're not taking into consideration your lean body mass, your current body fat percentage, or any of that. They're just taking in consideration your height, your age, and your current weight. So the best way that I would do this, and this method takes patience. Honestly, it's gonna take about 2 to 3 weeks, a month max, to figure out what a good deficit is for you caloric wise. So what I would do is I definitely would still use those free online calculators, and you could probably just Google maintenance calories calculator or something like that, and it'll have you input, if you're female, male, height, weight, and it'll give you a number of calories that is around your maintenance goals. That is usually pretty accurate. So this method I'm going to talk to you about is what I would do starting out if I was to go back in time and coach myself. So say my maintenance is 2,000 calories. I would at least drop a couple hundred off, so I would start at around 1,800 calories, right? And now I'm just gonna give you really, really basic breakdown of how to generically set up your macros. So you need to take into consideration how much lean body mass you have. That's the first step. So say you have 90 pounds of lean body mass. You need to calculate the correct amount of grams of proteins you would need. The very minimum is 0.82 times 90. The very maximum that I would do is 1.1 to 1.2 grams of protein. But the very minimum I would recommend is 0.82 times 90 pounds. And then thereafter that, I would calculate your fat intake. And this varies person to person, but a very generic average needs for a generic person or the average person is 25 to 35%. This varies because it depends on if you're male or female, if you're breastfeeding, if you're, I don't know, some people just don't do well on lower fats, others do fine. So do what works for you. And thereafter that, I would fill in the rest of the macros or calories left with carbs. So basically what we did mathematically here was we did, like, say we just do the 0.82, so 0.82 times 90, that number is gonna be 73.8 grams of protein. Now times that number by 4, and that is the amount of calories that would expend. And then from there, say your fats are at like 50 grams of fat, times that by 9, and I'll give you the calories of fat. Now take those two numbers that we just did, do 1800, subtract those two numbers, and that'll give you the total amount of calories left for carbs. And then thereafter, you divide that number by 4, and that will give you the exact grams of carbs you need. So hopefully that didn't confuse you, but if it did, I do have a how to, calculate your macros video, and I will put the link below in the description box. Now I'm going to tell you about how I track my weight when cutting. Every morning I weigh myself at the same time with the same factors. So if you weigh yourself with your same just underwear and just get on the scale, do that the same way every morning. I would highly recommend you use the restroom before you weigh yourself with the same types of clothing in the morning. So, and then every morning I need you to track your weight. And I just honestly put it on my notes section of my iPhone and just put my weigh-ins there. And at the, say this is day 1, and at the 7th day, I would add up all your weigh-ins, and then I would divide that by 7, and that'll give you your average weight for that week. So your first week, I would base it off of your initial weigh-in. So say you initially weighed in at 150 pounds. Then by the 7th day, say your weight drops to like 148 pounds. I would then, for the next week, keep the same macros. And if you're not seeing a weight loss, I would drop your macros by around 50 to 75 calories at a time, 100 max. Just because I would rather someone do it gradually than just drastically go into a deficit, whereas they didn't really need to drop that many calories to cut. Slow and steady wins the race. And in my experience, it definitely helps you sustain the diet. Now I want to talk about cardio. When should you implement it? Usually in the beginning stages of my cut, like the first week, I don't do any cardio. And the reason for this is I want to see what my body's maintenance is. But I do lift weights. I do a strength training program. I just basically created my own. It was created based on the exercises I love the most, and also, it's organized in a way where I do my weak areas of my body twice a week. So I do legs twice a week, I do arms twice a week. If you don't have time to do weight training and cardio, I definitely would choose weight training over cardio. And the reason for this is weight training challenges your muscles. Challenging your muscles is good for maintaining the current muscles you have. And if this is your first weight loss journey and first time taking weight training or strength training seriously, you will make some muscle gains during the cutting stage. And as an end result, you will have a better looking body than if you weren't lifting weights. And there are free programs available. If you go to bodybuilding.com, they have several free programs on there that you can utilize, and I'm all about free. And during my first serious fitness journey, I did a free program on there. It was Jamie Eason's program. I'm not sure if that's still on there, but I know that they have free workout programs available. All right, so the beauty of flexible dieting is you can be flexible with your diet and add things like Pop-Tarts, you know, some candy, Sour Patch Kids, stuff like that. But as you progress through your cutting stage and your macros are adjusted every week, and typically, you know, around the second month in, you start to lower your macros to the point where now you may not be able to be as, you know, flexible with adding a lot of junk food into your diet, because, you know, things like Sour Patch Kids are very calorie dense, which means like for X amount of carbs where it would be more volume if you use that for rice or potatoes, stuff like that, you're basically only eating like this little amount of food, because, you know, Sour Patch Kids are really tiny. So you'd want to fill your diet with more whole foods. Now that doesn't mean eating just chicken breast, broccoli, and brown rice, but I like to do things like make carne asada tacos, make Korean kimchi jjigae, which is kimchi stew. I also do Korean marinated kalbi, which is Korean marinated short ribs. I make my own Chipotle bowls, and I actually have a meal prep video on that. If you want to see that, I'll put a link in the description below. But yeah, get creative with your meals and add more veggies and whole foods to your diet. Also, another thing that helps and also helps your bank account is cooking at home. The reason I love cooking at home is because I'm very precise with the measurements. I know exactly how much chicken I'm putting in or how much meat I'm putting in. I know exactly every gram of veggie that I'm putting in, and just the macros itself are very accurate because I cooked it myself. Whereas if you go to a restaurant, most restaurants want to make their food taste better. And the way they do that is add extra butter, extra oil, things like that, because they're not really concerned about your macros as much as they're concerned that you're having the best experience, taste-wise, experience-wise, and they just want to have good food reviews. So a good example of why you wouldn't want to eat out, or certain restaurants you wouldn't want to eat out at if you're trying to be super accurate, is some like Chipotle, for example, because Chipotle, it depends on the heavy hand, if it's heavy, of the person serving you. Some people, if you notice, give you the very minimal scoop of rice. Other people I've seen give a heaping scoop and then a little more. So it depends on the person who's working. And I used to have the mindset of, you know, whatever ends up on that bowl, I'm just gonna count exactly like the Chipotle website says. But honestly, unless you're having that person weigh every ingredient they're putting in your bowl, it's not gonna be accurate. Most times it's probably gonna be a little over what's on the website, and also depending on the person's scoop. If you're trying to have really guaranteed results, I definitely wouldn't recommend going to places like Chipotle, because it can get very inaccurate very quickly. But places like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Subway, it's pretty accurate. You know, it's hard to skew those numbers. So for those of you who already follow me, I talk a lot about intermittent fasting, which just means instead of eating 6 small meals a day or even 3 meals a day, just doing one smaller meal, one bigger meal, or you can split those and just have each meal be kind of 50% of your calories each. The reason why I like to implement intermittent fasting, especially toward the end of my cut, is because it kind of allows you to feel like you're not on a diet for the last half of the day. But for me, typically, I like to fast until around like between 12 and 1 o'clock. And if I can, I like to push it to 2 o'clock. I've even pushed it to 3 o'clock before. But it makes dieting so much easier because you're getting a bigger volume of food, so you actually feel full and you don't feel like hungry and like you're cranky and stuff like that. And then I have a big dinner at night. Typically my dinners run around 900 to 1,000 something calories, so I like to really save my macros for dinner. And the way I kind of balance it out is during lunch. Sometimes I'll just have like egg whites and like zucchini and stuff like that, because it's really high volume and it keeps me satiated until dinner. And then for dinner, I have more flexibility in basically eating what I want. But yeah, cooking home cooked meals definitely helps because I can basically make anything that I want because I got really good. I'm already a good cook, but I got really good at flexible dieting because say I'm craving a mushroom burger, I could definitely make the mushroom burger and the fries fit my macros. And of course, the fries are not deep fried. I always bake my fries. So anyways, I hope you guys like this video. There will be more like helpful talk videos to come. And yeah, if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, comment down below, and like this video if you like the video. Thanks you guys. See you on the next one.